before we get into our final segment tonight, I want to thank you guys for letting me come here tonight. If you don't know who I am, that's okay. My name's Kurt Dowsett. I hosted a show on Discovery Channel called Dangerous Jobs. I have a new show coming out on National Geographic at the end of June called America's Lost Treasures, and I'm from and live right here in Utah. So thank you for this opportunity to be here tonight with you guys. In case you were wondering. Now, you probably noticed a special gift at your table tonight. We want to thank Symbol Arts for providing the special Salt Lake Chamber 125th anniversary commemorative coin. And I think everyone should get one of those on your table. Now, we hope to make these coins an annual tradition at the meeting every year. So if you've missed the first 124 that we've done, start your collection tonight, okay? Scrapbook it, you guys. This is going to be big, all right? Now, you know, every company used to have, or every company has a brand, a logo, some kind of ID, something to make the business instantly recognizable. So as we were writing tonight's show, I took a look back at some of the Chamber's logos throughout its history, and I thought we would just walk through a little bit of that together, kind of a trip down memory lane. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Chamber's original logo, back when the Chamber was known as the Commercial Club of Salt Lake. Very, very nice. You can actually still see this on the building the Chamber built in 1909 on Exchange Place. That was the look until 1970s when the Chamber introduced this one. Very groovy. In fact, it's so ugly, it's cool again, I think. Okay, and then we went to this next one. It looks like back then we had a temple, a high-rise, and a loaf of bread. Back then. We did a little better. And you know what's nice about this is the fault line. Finally, around the year 2001, the Chamber adopted its current look with the tagline, "It's everybody's business," before changing it to Utah's business leader. I think that's where we are now. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is the current president and CEO of the Salt Lake Chamber. He's also the former Utah Senate president and former Utah Olympic chief officer. Please welcome Lane Beattie.
This is my quest to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to dream the impossible dream.
So what do you like about being the president of the Salt Lake Chamber?
You know, what's not to like? You get to go to great parties and see a lot of great friends and people. But the most important thing I love about the Salt Lake Chamber is the synergy that is created every day by business leaders. And it's absolutely contagious. It is absolutely a joy to go to work because we get to help do what they tell us to do, and the success that comes to the state of Utah because business leaders make a difference here in Utah like no place else on earth. And that is absolutely a treat for us to work for all of you. So thank you.
You were recently added to the board of U.S. Chamber. Now, how has that helped you see the Salt Lake Chamber in a different light?
You know, it's been really a rewarding experience. The U.S. Chamber has really taken some major policy issues about business in the United States, about regulation, about what really drives businesses to be successful. And what it does is give us a great deal of opportunity to learn from some of the very best in the entire country. The Salt Lake Chamber benefits from the economists that the U.S. Chamber has in a major way from a standpoint of politics, what's really going on, what's important, are all very important parts of being part of the U.S. Chamber. But again, the value that the Chamber brings over and over to us is a national presence for principles of business. And those are the things that so often, I think, in America today are forgotten, that this country was built on the principles of enterprise. And what that does, I think we have one of the greatest governors that I think we've ever had because he understands the principle of what it takes to create a business and to make a profit and to let people work without regulation. And that is almost unprecedented in the country today. And one of the reasons why we continue, as most of you know, I've been named 3 years in a row the greatest state in America for business and business opportunities. We have companies like Goldman Sachs who come here, and what is surprising so many people, this year we will be the 4th largest office of Goldman Sachs in the world. And why? Because of our employees. And so we've got a lot of things to brag about, but you know what's the funnest part of Goldman Sachs statistics to us is, you know, most of us who were raised here and at one time in our life thought everybody just knew who Utah was because for some reason we just thought everybody knew who we were because we're such special people. The reality is that I think the Olympics taught us that, boy, not everyone knew who we were, but they found out. Goldman Sachs, number one statistic to me, is that the Goldman Sachs office in Salt Lake City is the number one requested relocation spot for all of Goldman Sachs worldwide. That is a great compliment.
Well, this is essentially an annual meeting, and when you look back on the past year, what are some of the greatest successes that you see?
You know, the business community 2 years ago decided that we were going to make a difference in education. A lot of times people think you get involved in education because it just sounds nice. A lot of kids are involved, and that sounds important in Utah due to the fact that we produce more than any place else on earth. And those are all very important statistics. But people need to realize the change that has started to occur in Utah and the great need for education. For the first time since we've ever kept statistics, the number of people between the ages of 35 and 45 have a higher level of college and training than those from 25 to 35. That has never occurred until the last 4 years in the state of Utah. So when we talk about people like Goldman Sachs and many of your businesses that are here tonight, you sit down and you realize that the difference is employees. And the fact is that we need to make sure that we have minimum standards for our children. We want to make sure as a business organization that we have literally 95% of our kids reading at grade level by the end of the 3rd grade. That has never been a goal in this state, but it is today.
Lane, looking ahead, what are some of the biggest challenges you see facing Utah businesses?
You know, the national economy. If we can just get the rest of the country to do what we're doing right here, it would really make our job a lot easier. Utah continues to be recognized around the country. People come here from all over and ask the question, what are you doing? What is it? Why do places like Adobe companies want to come here? What is it that's driving everybody forward? Well, there are so many reasons, the help, the strength, and as you look towards the future of what Utah has, the quality of life. After the employees, the number one issue is quality of life. And so we're looking forward to absolutely a great quality of life as we get to keep our children who grow up here in great jobs that they can afford to raise their families here. In 1989, we were losing 14,000 people a year out of the state of Utah because they couldn't get jobs at a rate that they could support their families here. By the mid-1990s, that totally turned around, and things started to change. Great companies started to develop incredible properties. I think of the Boyer Company and the Ivories and C.B. Richard Ellis, and so many of the major entities in the state of Utah were driving businesses here and making properties that people got just absolutely excited about. You started to see companies that were an example around the world. Workers' Compensation of Utah became literally the example of workers' compensation for this country. Right here in Utah. You saw a 100-year-old company, Bear River Mutual, that literally started right here by a few farmers and ends up being recognized. Well, that is repeated over and over and over again. Why? Because a lot of things haven't changed. And people believe that if you work hard, you have principles, and you dedicate yourself to success, that great things will happen. And that continues to happen right here. And so when you look to the future of Utah, wow, the future is really bright.
Well, like every guest on every talk show, you're here to plug something. And usually it's a book, a CD, a movie. Have you done any of those?
Well, you know, I do. I have a singing CD that I've done, and afterwards there's a love. No. Those of you that have heard me sing knows that's absolutely not true. You know, if I was to plug anything, I just need to say this. How fortunate we are as a community to have business leaders who demand excellence in their Chamber of Commerce. You saw some great logos here this last year, and it gave us an opportunity to talk about different issues that have come up from literally 1887 to where we're at today. So, you know what I'd really like to share with you is the newest Salt Lake Chamber logo.
You guys want to see that? You guys ready to see that? I'm going to just let you drive this bus or this Union Pacific train.
I hope that you recognize there's some big differences. We looked at where we were today and what we wanted to be in the future and what the great symbols of the past were. And one of those greatest symbols is a symbol of the state of Utah is industry. And what is that represented by? A beehive. So we wanted to find something that we could incorporate that image and yet give the distinction of who we really are and where we've been and where we're going. The Salt Lake Chamber today is truly not just Salt Lake's Chamber of Commerce, which even people in Salt Lake don't realize. We cover the entire state. We have membership in every county in the state of Utah, and we truly represent the state of Utah. We have great friends here, Steve Densley, who just announced his retirement after 30 years in Utah County today. Absolutely great partner of ours in the chamber world. But we have an opportunity because of our size and because of the businesses that we have here to help strengthen chambers all over the state of Utah. And so it was very important for us to make sure people understood that we were established in 1887, that we have a role in the state of Utah, that the chamber is what's important. Salt Lake is subsidiary to the chamber and what we do and why it's important. And the bottom line is that it's important for people to continue to remember and to constantly strive to make sure that this is an occurrence, is that government is there to serve the people and that business is there to demand excellence from government, not the vice versa. And I promise you that as long as we have the leadership that we have today, Dave Golden and Ray Pickup and so many others who demand excellence in what we do, that we will never forget that the job of the chamber is to make sure that business and prosperity is a way of life in Utah. Thank you.
Thank you. I do believe we would like to thank Molly Mazzioli over at Infinite Scale for donating that.
Those of you that don't know Molly, she's one of the most patient women you've ever met. She came to Utah in the Olympics. She came here to work some of those things. She actually, in her company, Infinite Design, does work for the Super Bowls, for major events all over the world, for Olympics still all over the world. And we're not above begging. And so we begged her if she would be willing to help us. And so she really is the one behind our new logo and the thought. And I cannot tell you how many meetings she set up that we would come to. And she would just ask us question after question after question about what we thought was important. And then we'd go back and she'd have designs. And she had, once we decided kind of on the concept of literally the beehive, I had no idea there were so many concepts of beehives. And some of the comical things that were said about some of the beehives we saw, I won't repeat here in public. But the reality is what a professional organization. And so to Molly and to those great people who literally helped make the design possible for us to choose Drew, who was literally the lead on it from Molly's office, I want to say thank you very much. Would all of you thank Molly and a great team from Design Company.
Well, best of luck in this upcoming year. Thanks for joining us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Lane Beattie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.